Hello. Huge thanks to everyone who tuned in the last day. It was the biggest number we've ever had. So I'm kind of hoping tonight we get a bit more. Um, also, I think I've kind of made life a little bit unnecessarily difficult for myself tonight. Um, so I said I'd draw the Silver Surfer as Julia Garner because she's recently cast as the Silver Surfer. I thought it would be really cool. But then the Silver Surfer doesn't really look anything like her. And when you kind of take away her eyes and you take away her hair, it gets a little bit tricky to make that likeness stick the landing. Um, it didn't help it work out on the way day too. So the pencils tonight are really rough. I probably have to do a little bit more thinking than I usually do. It could be fun. It could be disastrous. We'll find out. But yeah, we're gonna go with this. You can probably make out a little hint of Galactus in the background because why not? Um, but yeah, we're gonna go with this. Um, you can kind of see here, like I left in eyes on this one, and I was working it out, and I realized then as soon as I did them that it was a mistake. They're not really in Silver Surfer's design, so like I'm just going to try and stay as close to the original Silver Surfer design using Julia Garner's likeness and see what happens. That's going to be it. Also, huge thanks to everyone who picked up Godfell. I know it's recently just back in the Big Bang in Dundrum. So if you missed out the first time round and it was sold out when you went into the shop to go buy it, Big Bang will have you covered. You can go pick it up now. You don't even have to get to the shop. You can go and order from those guys online, and they will post your copy of Godfell out to you. And they're a great bunch of guys. I recommend them an awful lot. If you haven't used them before, give them a shot. Um, Anything else? Yeah, so there's new stuff in the Bennessy store. I think I might have mentioned it last week, but I was dealing with my slip disc a lot, so I didn't really set up a lot of the video notifications, letting people know where they can go pick up all that kind of stuff. But you can still go to the Bennessy store and pick up hoodies and mobile phone covers, tote bags, that kind of stuff. All with designs that like Tess here in the bottom left corner of the screen. She's on one of them. And I think that might be everything. I'll get to work here and try to remember what else I was supposed to remember while I'm drawing. um, will I start with her? Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll work with her and then work backwards. My prints in the Bennessy store that I do every month, I'm going to change how I do them. When I was originally doing them at the start of the year, I wasn't planning on doing these weekly streams, and they're kind of eating into time that I had to make a print and then reveal the print in the newsletter before I put it out into all the social media accounts. And hey, morning. Hey, Sean. Um, so I might have to start doing a thing with these sketches that where they become my print for the Bennessy store every month. So I think the last time around I did Zanzi in kind of a homage to Frank Frazzetta's Death Dealer. That might be this month's one, unless I get time to do another one. Otherwise, I think I'm going to start tackling some of the Bennessy prints via the stream here. But that could be kind of different as well. I won't just be inking. I'll probably also be coloring things. And I might even be doing character designs, that kind of stuff. It depends on Depends on what my work is going for me, to be honest. But I'm going to keep up the streams. I'm enjoying them, and I'll try and make everything else kind of keep going at the same rate, but just make it a bit more doable for myself. That's a mistake. It's going to get rid of that line there. Talking and drawing tough. Always make a mistake. I thought this was a really good casting decision, actually. Like, kind of the more I looked at it since, the more I think her features really lend herself very well um to Silver Surfer. Um, and the variety of roles she played, I think she could knock it out of the park. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not making life easy for myself with these licenses. I did last month's one was a Deadpool print at Bennessy.com, and like I did Taylor Swift as Dazzler, because apparently that's the rumor, but you can go catch it there. It's in the shop, the print and comic section of the shop. And again, because of my back, I didn't get around to putting the Godfell sketches that I finished on run up to the release of the Godfell trade. Um, they'll be going up on Friday. So I've never actually drawn the Silver Surfer before, and drawing these kind of metallic surfaces things it's never something I really enjoy doing. I much prefer drawing characters who aren't made of metal, that kind of stuff. So this is a bit of a challenge. Um, I keep changing my mind on this jaw. I think I'm just going to go for, yeah. Usually I like to leave those open, but we're going to make this kind of a spot black. And I know in previous streams, I kind of make a point of trying not to use a paint bucket for things like this, but for someone who's kind of made of metal, oh Jesus, Silver Surfer, it kind of makes sense to make them um like a pristine black. So you could opt for the paint bucket for a character like this. But I thought I'd have more time to familiarize myself with maybe previous iterations of the character. I had very little, if any, time to barely even look at Julia Garner's likeness. I was back and forth on that quite a lot today, and that was about all I had time for. Um, but the hell of it, we'll just go and have fun and see what happens here. I could find out that I really like drawing this person. Someone who's very good at Silver Surfer drawing is Keen Tormey. If you're not familiar with Keen, he's another Irish talent out there. He's a really nice guy, really nice guy. But his work's fantastic. Someone who, if you're not familiar with, is worth your while going and hunting him down. Oh, thanks, Sean. You shouldn't have to wait too long. It should be available anywhere. Um, I think the Big Bang might be a bit pricey for shipping for you, Sean. Best of luck with the Kickstarter, by the way, Sean. Anyone on Twitch there, and you can see Sean's comments. Check out his Kickstarter. He's got a book coming out soon. It's he's he's all over socials. You can't miss it. If you tune in, you'll pick up what he's all about there. He's got some really interesting stuff coming in the pipeline. Actually, I thought you had a stream tonight, Sean. Did I get the time wrong? I could have got the time wrong. I get times wrong all the time. Ask one of my old editors. I do. I got time zones ever slightly wrong. I got you. I got you. I'm used to that myself. You can ask my co-writer, co-creator, and writer on The Odds, Dave Hendrick, who hopefully actually will be able to join me next week. Next week, because I did my back in last week, I fell a bit behind on the book. So in order to kind of catch up, I'm going to ink some of The Odds live here on the channel. In order to make it spoiler free, it'll just be backgrounds, because we're so deep into the book at the moment. I don't want to spoil anything major, and Dave is one of these writers where like there's not a centimeter of his script wasted in terms of bringing the story forward. So I got to be very careful about what I show, but I'm going to show a little bit. I have to decide on the page because I don't want to do something that might spoil the story in any way, and it would be part of issue 4, so all 5 issues. So things are really ramping up in an issue 4 or the big finale. So I'm going to be quite choosy with what I show, but Dave will hopefully be able to join us for a little bit and maybe even talk to us a bit about his technique. So maybe if there's a couple of writers who tune in and watch me draw, maybe you can hear from one of the writers themselves here, Dave, who's one of the best. He's also someone who can kind of talk about his technique. He's not just someone who has the ability and can't talk about the process. Yeah, if you're not a writer but you have writer friends, maybe tell them to check out the show next week, 9 o'clock every Wednesday. Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I think I'll always call it Twitter. You're having breakfast while I'm winding down my day here. Thanks for tuning in. So part of what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out where the best possibility for marksmanship to describe her as a person made of metal. Some of these shapes I'm going to leave open, some I'll um I'll fill in black, and I'm gonna get kind of choosy about that as I go along. Um, I might come back to these and make this stuff here on the side of the head here. I think I will just go and make them do that now. Yeah. Best thing about working digitally on something like this when I, I haven't really thought about my pencils thoroughly enough. As usual, that's going to become a thing on the show. I never seem to have enough time to really get my pencils down to a place where I can just enjoy inking. I'm still thinking a lot about what I have to do. Um, that's fine when I'm not trying to talk to people, but when I'm talking to people, it leaves room for mistakes to pop up. We don't like mistakes. Oh, really? You think that's a bit loose? Um, I think my pencils are really tight in comparison, but this is even. Yes, I have a wrong there button that plays a sad track. The goal is to get as loose with my pencils as Chris Samney, but I'll never be able to do that. The time I would save, the time I would save if I could just go straight in to inks the way he does. I just lose so much consistency though and form. I just don't have that sight that he does. I think I'm gonna rename the show to the Chris Samney Appreciation Society or something. I'm always talking about how great he is. I'm not very happy with that shoulder. I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. So part of the trick of getting her to look like she's made out of metal and still inform people of her volume and shape. Um, there's a bit of cross contour drawing when I was roughing this out. Um, People who've probably done some life drawing or read about drawing exercises are probably familiar with that term. I found that it helped out quite a lot. Um, if you haven't heard of that, it's kind of like where, let me just open a layer here. So if I was drawing rib cage, I was kind of drawing a circle. I was finding the middle, or finding the midriff, and then I was back up here trying to find rib cages, and back up into another one, and those kind of exercises helped me try and find the shapes, the marks I wanted to make to uh, to really help guide this character. Otherwise, she could just be in an outline and would have looked very boring. Um, Important that you do think of the process. There will be a colorist who will follow you, or you will be the colorist, and decisions can be made there. But I've always said, and I think I said on the stream before, there shouldn't be any fixing anything in both. Every step of the process should only result in a product becoming more beautiful. It shouldn't be a thing you have to fix later on. Um, Totally ripping that off. A friend of mine who used to work with Paul Shanahan, That was his mantra on the productions he used to manage, and I really believe in that myself. I think he's absolutely correct. And again, this is a character I've never drawn before, so really watching my line weight um, to indicate what's in front of something here and what's behind. Sorry, Sean, I fell behind in a big conversation there. Yeah, he's down to me as well. I don't know how we can pretty much go straight to inks like that. It's amazing. Um, Mike Hawthorne. Oh yeah, I've seen his stuff. All right, he's another beast. Those guys, I don't think they know how to do a bad drawing. You know, and don't be afraid when you're in the process of inking and you see that you've made a mistake in your pencils to just go and correct it. Don't go thinking like, oh, hang on, maybe I was aware of something recognized penciling that I'm not now. Especially when you're working digitally, because you can just go and undo. Um, but do yourself a favor, and if you do spot something correct, have a quick look over it and change it. I spot here that mark went up too high. It needed to almost kind of loop into here. In fact, it should loop more into there. And that's how specific and anal I get at my line quality. It's ridiculous. Oh, thank you very much. I don't know how that guy manages. We're talking about Mike Hawthorne, and he manages to kind of think in shadows before he goes to line and form. Like that was another exercise we studied when I was in college. Just to kind of get you thinking. Um, it could be one of the ways that he warmed up. Uh, it's a good way to warm up, actually. Have you got? I haven't got the G codes book. I just have so many anatomy books. I just couldn't convince myself to go and buy another one. I'm sure what he has is great because I saw so much of what he was posting when he was working on it and telling everyone about it, but I didn't pick it up. I just couldn't give up another space in my bookshelf to another anatomy book. I have so many. Is it really good? Like if it is your favorite, is it just better than everything else out there? If it is, maybe I'll go get it. I think he has it on his website somewhere. I like his warm ups because they feel genuinely like a warm up, you know. I kind of feel like so many artists do warm ups that are more or less just drawings that they're going to sell on their shop or something, and that's grand, that's cool, and sometimes I'd like to buy those drawings, you know. Um, but I don't see the purpose in a lot of things as being a warm up. I feel it's just like a drawing. Um, kind of like the idea of doing those contour drawings and trying to freehand straight lines and freehand perfect circles. Um, it'll save you a lot of time. So I kind of feel like when you start doing those very detailed drawings that your warm up goes from maybe being something that could be 10 minutes to an hour, 40 minutes sometimes. That's a lot of time of your day gone. But if you have the intent to sell them on your shop afterwards, then it's probably not a complete waste of your time. You know? Oh, that's interesting. So you find that his book is really helpful because of your ADHD, because it doesn't have a lot of text in the description. It's just a lot of drawings of figure and shape. That's really interesting. That's probably something he might not even know about, that there's he's helping people who have ADHD unintentionally. But then maybe he has it himself. You wonder. Maybe like-minded people, think the same, look at things the same way. I'd have to be careful with the Kickstarters. I was on so many of them on lockdown. Now it seems to be the way comic books are being made. Like, it just every publisher seems to be going the route of Kickstarter now. It's tough for the guys who are using Kickstarter, I think. I've been really surprised recently with a number of Kickstarters who I would have just presumed were a sure thing, and they didn't hit their goal, and I was just astounded. And I think it's fallout to bigger companies using it as a platform now. I think there's only so much of that Kickstarter. What would you call it? Kickstarter allowance, the amount of money that you'll allow yourself to spend on Kickstarter every month, to go around. And now I think there's less of it because there's more people using Kickstarter as a platform to sell their own books. Yeah, yeah. I kind of like getting the digital ones though. Like, I don't know about you, but I kind of find that there's only so much room in my house. Again, kind of like those anatomy books, comics and art dog books. They take up a lot of space as well. And having the digital versions of them is something I'm coming around to a lot more than before. I used to just really want the tangible something in my hand, and now I'm kind of okay with a digital version of something. I still find that if I really like something, I tend to buy it twice. Though I'll buy the digital version of it, and if I like it, then I'll go out and I'll buy the traditional version of it. Again, talking and drawing and trying to remember some of those contour shapes I made drawing this, wondering if I'm still hitting them correctly now. I'll zoom out now and have a quick look a sec. One thing I wish Sketchbook had that Photoshop, I don't know if it still has it, but I stopped using it a while ago. But Photoshop used to have it. The navigation window you could open up. I used to always like open that on a separate screen. So when I was looking down here, I could always like look back up to another screen. I could see my line weights. I'd know if I was leaning too heavy or going too thin on something. I tend to be pretty heavy-handed, so generally it was going too heavy. Or I used to think I was very heavy-handed, and then I have a podcast that will be coming back very soon. Actually, again with I was just talking about Dave Hendrick, the writer, on the odds, and we have a podcast together. And on that podcast, we had PJ Holden. If you don't know who PJ Holden is, go and look at all his work. Just Google him. He's brilliant. But I thought I was heavy-handed until we were talking to him on the podcast one day, and he has the same drawing tablet that I do. A Huon. I'm never going to say it right. It's one of those. And he's so heavy-handed. He actually like did a few pixels in broke them. Like and yeah, maybe I'm not as heavy-handed as I thought I was because I just thought that was crazy. Um, I just zoomed out there and saw that that was a bit flat, so just to inform the shape a bit more. There we go. And I'm going to make a decision on my spot blacks now in a bit, not just yet. Thinking about it. It's a bit of fatigue. I'm going to grab a quick coffee while I catch up on that chat there. Sorry. Yeah, engagement on social networks is tough. I was amazed last week. I was really happy where I'd kind of gone from about 10 people tuning in to 400. It was amazing. And I don't pay for those things, so it was amazing to get that kind of response. Um, really like to have a hardcover because yeah, I go in for hardcovers. If it's something I really like, I do a hardcover. Yeah, I'm a bit of a sucker for hardcovers. But again, like there's so many good books out there. I just want to round that shoulder out. I didn't like how squared off it was. Um okay, that's kind of the Silver Surfer part of it. I'll dial it up now in a bit. I'm going to get all the lines on first. If anyone's been in on this before, they know that I'll kind of get stuck in, and as I go along, then I'll watch my line weight, my spot blacks, and any kind of details or textures I want to add. This is one of the reasons why I love working with Sketchbook Pro, not Sketchbook. Sketchbook Pro. Sketchbook Pro is updated regularly in the App Store, and Sketchbook is not. It hasn't been updated in a long time. And I've been recommending Sketchbook Pro, but some people have been picking up Sketchbook by accident and letting me know that's not working for them. But it's not working because it hasn't been updated. It's the wrong version of the drawing app. You want Sketchbook Pro. But it's got these lovely little rulers and ellipse tools, and you do things like very much. Let me just zoom in so you can kind of see it properly. But you can get a really big variation in your line weight, which is something I really like. I don't like that kind of dead line. You get like when you just kind of hold down on, the shift key when you're using Photoshop or something. I haven't used Photoshop in ages though. I've just been using this and Manga Studio, so some of those things could be dated by this point. I think I stopped using Photoshop about 2 years ago. The XP Pen Artist Pro, that looks good. I've heard a lot of good things. I haven't tried it yet though. Yeah, Clip is cool. This is my favorite drawing program though. Like just in terms of just drawing. I did not, absolutely did not want to draw digitally or work digitally. I wanted to be a traditional animator. And when I realized very quickly then that there was very little work available in that area for me, and the mega talents I was competing against, because in Ireland there's still quite a lot of the Sullivan and Bluth Studio animators and artists around, And like these guys are just they're just incredible. Paul Shanahan, who I just mentioned, he'd be one of those guys, and they can do things that I thought impossible with pencils. Um, I don't know if anyone watching this would be old enough to have shot animation like on a rostrum camera or on Monkey Jam, I think was the animation app. Uh, but I used to have to like draw, then I'd go and test it, make sure it was working on that, find out what wasn't working, edit that, come back again, all that kind of stuff. But like Paul Shanahan didn't need to do that. He just knew it worked, and someone else would shoot it for him, and my God, was he right? It worked. So he kind of set a new bar of what was possible for me, and yeah, those kind of guys are just all around here. So it's tough to compete with that kind of talent that's just walking around. Um, so on the last stream I did, I promised I wouldn't use the moon to. I love using the moon. I don't know why it's in quite a lot of my drawings. I use it as a kind of a framing device quite a lot, or making some kind of focal point on the page. And I'm not using the moon this time around. It's a planet. I'll get away with that. Okay. Yeah, it's a long way to come over from Oz, man. But yeah, I mean, I think Aussies and Irish get along quite well. You probably enjoy yourself over here. Go see the whole place, though. Don't just go and hit Dublin. That there's more around, and um Jimmy Gasparo, who was over recently, I told him to go and hit up like some GA matches. Like like you won't see hurling anywhere else. Hurling's like I've seen it I've seen it described a couple of ways. It's been called homicidal hockey, and like rugby meets the egg and spoon race, which is which is brilliant. When you think about it, it's pretty right on the money, really. I'm just gonna open up my other ones. I did details on those planets on this one that I didn't do on my other layer when I was trying to figure everything out. But I recommend taking in some of the stuff that you wouldn't get somewhere else. Um, I'm going to Big Bang to buy Godfell. Hey, there's but yeah, if you're a comic book fan who are in Dublin, like Dundrum's a nice spot to head out to. I'd recommend hitting those guys, hitting up those guys. Don't hit those guys. My God, talking and drawing, it's hard, guys. There was a job I had years and years ago, and it was about teaching kids about space. And I had to draw loads of different kind of planets and stuff. And every time I go to draw a planet now, it's like Nam flashbacks. The details we would be called back to go and finish were just unbelievable, like so specific, unnecessarily so. But look, it job's a job. Again, you'll see me pick and choose and go from some other pens and brushes now in a bit, but for the most part, I try to stay with this nib in Sketchbook. I just think it's great. I've said before a few times, I don't like to get special brushes make custom brushes. I used to do it all the time, all the time, and then I'd have to go and work in house somewhere, and I'd have to spend an age installing them. I'd have to find out if I could install them. Maybe their version of the program, usually Photoshop, wouldn't have been as up to date as those brushes needed to be installed on them, and you just lose a lot of time trying to figure all that out, and that was a real pain. So I kind of stopped and started just trying to figure out what I can get out of the basic brush set on the standard layout of all the drawing programs. And I like the variation in Sketchbook. There's quite a lot to play around with. Um, so much so that I've barely edited anything. This is the only brush that I have made any kind of edit to, and the only thing I did was when you first open up this program to use this brush, it's set at 90% opacity. Go back and turn that thing up to 100 and leave it there. It's way better. Oh, very good. You got family from Ireland. Nice. Yeah, you'll have to come back and check it all out then. Find out what part of Ireland your aunt's from, and figure all that out. You might have some family still here. Yeah, picked the wrong color there. I do that on the stream all the time, and I know during the day I don't do it, and I'm convinced it's just probably a little bit tired. Like that's not a fault I can claim as as a thing or an element in Sketchbook. It's that's me at this time of the day. Okay, gonna open up a new layer there because one thing I learned out when I was drawing those planets for that job back in the day was clouds. They wanted loads of clouds, and it was easier to draw the dents or crater marks on a planet or whatever kind of land it was supposed to look like first, and then come back and drawing the clouds over them, and you wouldn't get lost trying to follow all your lines. It was just a little easier. Usually for something like this, I'd have another window open here with some planets for reference. And I feel like I've drawn this so many times now, it's kind of in my head. Um, I'd have a bit of a mental library for this kind of thing. And I would advocate using reference as much as possible. So yeah, I'm breaking a little rule here for myself, but I think I know enough. I say that now, and then I know 3 minutes after I finish the stream, I'll look at it and go, "That's terrible. I'll have to redraw that." But look at, let's live dangerously. Wrong there. Let's get rid of that one so I don't do anything there. Wrong one again. Hmm. Again, this is something that if I had been sitting down to figure out in my pencils, I wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. It just would have been laid out very neatly, tightly for me to follow. Okay. I am going. Oh, look at that. That's a tangent. Don't like tangents. Get rid of that. Um, I will start doing some traditional drawings. So far I know they've all been digital. That will change. Um, I just can't post comments to some destinations. Oh, okay, that's a pity. I wonder why that is. Um, I will just I'll edit my setup proper camera for some traditional drawings. Okay, so I'm going to. What I want to do with Galactus here is kind of give a hint of him somewhere in the background. So I'm going to do this on another layer. Um, kind of feel like I should go back and really finish off the Fantastic Four team because I have done Sue, I've done Ben Grimm, now I'm doing Silver Surfer. I feel like I should go back and just kind of tick them all off. Maybe on some days where I'm trying to figure out what it is I'll draw that week, maybe I'll tackle some Fantastic Four. Actually, what I want to do with this is new plan. Gonna do a thing here. Because on another layer, I'm going to draw him in such a way that I can use my magic wand. Sounds real weird. Um, to just paint inside him. When I go to do his kind of silhouette, and that shouldn't affect the other kind of space sky thing that I want to paint behind him. Um, we'll see. If you get it horribly wrong, and we'll all learn something. Don't think I should be freehanding this. I think for kind of graphic shapes like this, a kind of a dead line would be better. Getting to the hour mark. That's kind of where we want to be at this point. That's good going. Hey, no worries. Thanks for tuning in, man. I'll catch you again. Have a good day. Whoops. Just try and keep that straight. This will all make sense in a minute. I don't need this line to be perfectly circular. I just need it to hide behind this line. Wait a minute. Let me go back on that one. Thankfully, I locked my layer so I couldn't accidentally draw on it. That would have been annoying. So next week, when I'm working on a comic book page, I'll be talking a lot about using shadows to create focal points, staging areas, that kind of stuff. Instead of just trying to render things that should adhere to reality, you can play around with things to a point to benefit the story. Story comes first, always. What, like, Jesus, pick the right layer, man. Just had a mad thought that it might be nice to put some glowing dotted eyes in there for Galactus. That might work out very well. Okay, so we have Galactus. I think we have him filled in. Do a quick test. Oops. You cut it first. Yes, that works. Okay, so now we're going to get a brush and paint him in a bit. To get our magic wand first. The magic wand. I'm going to use a couple of brushes on this because I kind of want them not to look cloudy, like, which is what this brush is going to do. But the sky I'm going to paint behind him is going to be cloudy, and I kind of want them to look as though he's kind of emerging from that. So if I can paint him a little bit in the same way, I'll achieve that effect. But there's a lovely little brush that I like in this. I use it on Godfell quite a lot. This guy. Make it bigger. Too much. Don't worry, those hard, scratchy shapes. I'm going to edit now shortly. Don't forget, you can always go back in and treat your brushes like erasers. So you still keep the kind of texture from your brush. Without getting that kind of very much clear and obvious change in texture from like a soft or a hard eraser. Now we're going to go over here. This one, we're just going to need this brush in here. And then we're going to go down here and do the same down here. This guy first. And you can probably hear how handed I am. Still, I haven't broken it like PJ Holden has. Like, how heavy handed is that guy? And again, if you haven't seen his stuff before, you need to go check it out. He is brilliant. Okay, so I am going to duplicate this because I make a mistake. And I'm going to take out this brush and I'm going to make it opaque. I'm going to deselect that because what I want to do now is just kind of affect the line, everything. And I do like this little speckle brush. Too much, bit less. Okay, now that looks kind of like what I wanted there. I'll delete that. Pretty happy. Am I happy? Go back there for a second. Maybe I went a bit too heavy on. Maybe I went a bit too heavy on. There we go. That's probably a bit more like it actually. Go too heavy on his hat there. Hat? Helmet? Crown? I don't know. Okay. So now I think I'm gonna try and put in those eyes I was talking about. Behind him, there's going to be plenty of like stars and stuff. So his eye here, I might give it a kind of a star shape. One thing I nearly forgot about is sketchbook tends to leave a bit of a line on the inside of your fills. But if you get the paint bucket, make sure it's on the plain one and hit it. You can, well, not that. I'll turn it down a little bit less. There we go. You can kind of get rid of that little line. Perfect. Perfect. Now, we'll turn it back up to 120, which is kind of where I like it. Hey, there we go. And now I'm going to do the sky. I love this brush for painting skies and painting clouds, guarantee you every artist has their favorite set of brushes, and the ones I've been picking here are some of mine. Tone it down a bit. I'm going to open up a little bit of reference over here for like a galaxy, so I have some kind of reference point. There we go. Excuse me. Can always use reference. Your work will be better for it, especially if you're not too familiar with the subject. I mean, the possibilities here of a galaxy, I mean, the colors are amazing. I wouldn't have thought it could have been so colorful. Oh, and I haven't said it yet. I should have said it at the start. That's one of the things I nearly forgot. Oh, look at that. I drew it on that. I didn't mean to do that. Get rid of those eyes. They're not supposed to be there. And we'll go back, get our paint bucket, do all that stuff again. But what I nearly forgot about was the Paneloids. The Paneloids guys are doing a podcast shortly after this, where they will be talking about the female silver surfer. So if you're like me and you know very little about them, there's a good opportunity to go and find out about her. So yeah, go check those guys out. Their podcast is great. It's a lot of fun. And always name the layers. Eyes. I know I'm not working with a lot of layers here, but I'm gonna name them anyway because mistakes happen. One thing I do to help avoid mistakes is I have things like this set up. So very early on when I'm doing my composition, I know I have the composition I like. I can't make a mistake. I use a rule of thirds to kind of guide me. So if I'm feeling a bit tired or I'm feeling a bit off, at the very least, I know I can get my composition in a place that I want it to be. Okay, so I made the layer eyes, didn't draw them, I'll draw them now. And I'm going to turn off my thirds, don't need them for this. And there's a lovely smear tool here. That's sharpen in sketchbook. Just lets you kind of do things kind of like this. Don't want even. Again, we never want stuff even. You want to avoid twinning at all costs. When you have stuff twinning, things start looking a little lifeless. Too much blur. A little too much blur. Nah. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe I need to go for another brush. Maybe what I need is a smaller version of this guy to do something kind of cool. Yes. That's already better. Again, I always kind of find that if you can actually draw it instead of rely on a digital tool, things are better for it. Again, the numbers, we didn't get the 400 the last day, but still far better than we were getting the last few weeks. So huge thanks to everyone tuning in. I really appreciate it because it's still very early days on for me on this. So thank you very much. Okay, so Starry Sky next. I have my reference here beside me, and I'm going to show you another kind of little a little thing I do. It's not a trick. It's just something I do because when I go to paint that kind of stuff traditionally, I use I'll show you. I use a toothbrush. Um, there are these little handy travel ones that you can open up, and you can see this one is covered in ink. It's kind of filthy and it's covered in Tipex. And I kind of put my ink or my Tipex on the brush here, and I just flick it onto the page. I don't want to do it over my drawing tablet because I might just ruin it. But it gives you kind of a nice little ink splatter on your image, and used to annoy me terribly when I would work digitally and I couldn't get the same effect. But there's a lovely splatter tool on this that kind of use like a stamp, and I'll do that now in a minute. So we have our line, we have our Galactus. We're going to paint the sky now. Excuse me. I want the brush a bit bigger, and going to try and achieve something kind of like that. So turning on the thirds here, just so you guys know what I'm talking about. Upper third, lower third, left, right, third, and these points here where they crossed are called hot points. So you can see I have her eye on a hot point. And you kind of want eyes on the upper third if you can. And then generally I like to leave some space for captains, speech bubbles, that kind of stuff. They tend to go into the upper thirds. But our titles, that kind of stuff as well. If I am working on a cover, I would have put her left eye onto the third and left more space in the middle. I think if more negative space on an image, it has more visual impact on the shelf. So we're going to paint the sky, and I kind of want the eye to always come down to this area here. So I'm going to have a trail of clouds, and for the moment, just paint it. I can go and cut stuff out afterwards, and I dab like I would do with a brush. Again, this program, if you can't achieve it traditionally, this program is not going to give it to you. There is no make easy button here just because you're on a computer. That's kind of why I love it. Again, I was so against going digital before this, and this really helped me ease myself into a career, basically, not just drawing digitally, but actually having a career because I could draw digitally. Should have been maybe more of a thing that was taught in schools, but look, if it wasn't at the time, we found a way around that too. I'm delighted to see it as kind of standard everywhere now. It's great seeing colleges. I've only seen in colleges in Ireland actually. I don't know what it's like outside of Ireland, but it's great seeing colleges with a computer. Don't like the mark I made there. Smudge that. Well, which one to dab. This brush will allow you to smudge as well. Kind of renders like real stuff, but I don't want to get that effect. I want this kind of smoky, this is kind of cloudy stuff. It's getting very heavy at the moment, don't worry. Just like I was talking about a minute ago, where I can make my brush opaque and kind of use it as an eraser, so I still get that same texture, that same feel. We're going to do that now. It's a little bit too much. I don't want to take away. I don't want pure white, really. I just kind of want a little bit of a not a great tone, but if I make it bigger, I'll get more. Yeah, there we go. So if you make the brush a bit bigger, you can get softer edges on it, and those softer edges kind of want it to be heavier up top, though. We want the eye to be led down to our Julia Garner Silver Surfer. So hopefully, when I go to put in the stars, this will look less like a night sky and more like space. But it does, looking at it here in the reference, it looks very like a night sky, which is really interesting. Again, you find the right reference, you learn something. Kind of want to go heavy around Galactus, so he's almost hard to see. Yeah. He looks a lot easier to see up on my screen here than he does on my screen down here. A little bit more here, I think. A little bit more there. And too much. The right amount. There we go. Okay. And this all looks very weak up here, so I can do a bit more, be a bit braver. Actually going the wrong direction, actually. Going back up. Bring it down here. And we want it kind of lighter going down according to this. Now, just to make sure we're going in the direction that we want to, I'm going to tidy that up a little bit. If I find out that it's going the wrong way, I can fix it straight away. I think I might need a little bit more behind Galactus. Get back to our brush again. Yeah. Yeah, it looks better up there too. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take away all the bits that are around the planets. We'll take the thirds off. And we will take out our lasso tool. When I did a few streams before, I had a lot of music on, and then I was told that the music was drowning me out. If there's anyone watching who prefer a bit of music, let me know. If it's better without the music, let me know as well. And I didn't know there was a female Silver Surfer. And as I said, go back to the guys and panelize and find out more about her. It can only be cool. And kind of, I think Julia Garner does so many interesting things. If she's gone for this role, it has to be cool. She's so varied in all the things she's picked as well. Yes, I'm a fan. Is it obvious? We're getting there. We'll come back to our Silver Surfer from Spot Blacks near the end. And but some of those I don't want to be Spot Blacks. Or at least I don't think I do. Maybe I will in the end. I had wanted to do one of Julia Garner as a Silver Surfer on the surfboard. But it kind of just looked like Silver Surfer, I guess. You know, a female Silver Surfer. I really wanted to work on likeness, and then I was so raging when, again, like you kind of take out the eyes, you lose that. They are the window to the soul, and you lose that likeness. But then her features are so strong. Naturally, I think it lends itself quite well to the traditional Silver Surfer. But for the sake of like trying so hard to get her likeness. I'm kind of laughing at it now because, God, what was the point? Get my brush because I realized there's a space in here we missed. We, I mean me, I missed it. I can't blame you guys for that. Okay, how are we doing on the time? 1:16, doing good. A couple few new visits. Hello. Okay, so now we're going to try and do that kind of stamp splatter tool that I was talking about. So I'm going to what do I do there? I have to put it above that one, behind the other guys, and it under splatter. Would you believe? Right, and it's just this. There's a few of them here. I like this one the most. This was the one thing that when I was creating a lot of my own brushes, I had loads of these and I used them all as kind of stamps. And I'm going to double up the layer because I kind of want these kind of energetic splotches. Again, for people who've just joined, this is a technique I would have got traditionally using a brush, kind of flicking ink and Tipp-Ex onto the page with my finger, and it was something that kind of bothered me that I couldn't achieve it digitally. So I used to go to the bother of creating brushes and scanning in things to use as stamps, and I was happy for a while until I realized I'd go into a studio and it would take me an age to install all the brushes and put them in the program, and then find out that the program wasn't able to take those brushes. It was a real pain in the face, and I find it much easier to go with the standard tool set in a program now and make it work for myself. Um, what am I doing here? Why is this not doing? There we go. Sure, I'm only pressing the wrong button because I'm talking and drawing again. Talking and drawing is hard. Okay, so I don't want to have loads of lines, but I do want those circles, and there is a bit more energy in those circles than I would have got. Um, kind of trying to paint them in and stuff, but this is kind of what I do with it. So I'm going to duplicate that again just to make them a bit brighter. There's a few of these I don't like. I'm going to get rid of them. And the spacing out on some of these I don't like. I'm going to move around too. Oops, wrong one. This is why I think those eyes on practice could be kind of fun. But again, I used to spend so much time making these kind of stamps loving it, reveling in it. I guess looking back, it's a bit gimmicky. Um, but then I was devastated when I go into a studio and these things, these gimmicks that I guess I was enjoying playing with and was trying to associate as a Ben Hennessy style. Um, couldn't do because their version of Photoshop was older or newer than mine, and none of it would work. And it just was enough to put me off doing it again. And now I really do my best to use the standard set of brushes in any program because I know that if I have to go work in house, I'm going to be familiar with the brushes that are there. And sometimes it's a thing like where when you are working on a show, they'll give you parameters, settings, and a certain kind of brush to use to keep everything in the same style. So you don't even have a choice in it sometimes. Tricky is not to overdo it either, and to continue leading the eye around the page that we want to. We want our eyes to settle on the Silver Surfer. She's the hero. Take these guys out. Galactus is not see-through. Okay. So now I'm starting to look at Silver Surfer. So again, every time I say it, I never really want to depend on the paint bucket tool. It can really take away an opportunity for you to add texture to your drawings, whatever it may be. But for something as shiny and as sleek as a Silver Surfer, it's probably a great tool to use here. So I'm going to use it. Um, if I could maybe unlock the layer first, that might be smart. What do you think? Yeah, that might work out. Let's turn that back up to 120, where I like it. You'll get familiar with programs like if it's your first or time on the stream here, you know I like my nib at 7.1. I like my fire here between 1.6 and 2.9 or something like that. And the reason I found out those things was because I'm a little old school, I guess, and I am used to the certain pens, the uni pins and tombos and things, and I wanted to find out like how big those strokes that I made on those things apply digitally. So like years ago, I was drawing in things on paper, lines, that kind of stuff, scanning them in, and then seeing what size of this pen applies to my tombow line or my uni pin line, and they've all just kind of stayed up there like a steel trap, and kind of how kind of how I still operate a bit, I guess. Okay, so again, I always kind of feel that you are far more rewarded in your drawings for being brave. So I'm going to just go for a lot of, well, let me close that line before I do that. I'm going to go for a lot of top blacks here. And again, we are working digitally. You can you can take advantage of that and experiment. You might find something you like. You might find something you don't. Oops, that line closed. Some of these lines I might not leave in a spot back, so it might be too heavy. Or maybe I'll go back in and edit it actually. It's doing that because I have to close it. I'll close it down here now in a second. Yeah, I think I might leave it actually. It does look better with that. So we'll be brave and we'll fill them all in black. I will edit some of those lines, but for the most part, that's what they will be. I think I got them all there. Oops. Yeah, I'm kind of fond of that. That worked out. As for the surfboard, I could go pretty heavy on that too. We'll try something here. Again, we want the ruler for these parts. I remember being trained in college to go freehand. You get a better line quality when you go freehand. I now believe that there's a time and place to go freehand. Sometimes you need to get that feeling of something non man-made, something not organic, and a ruler is the best way to do that. You don't lose any quality of effort or drawing. You just matter of factly state to your reader or to the audience, this is a different material. Okay, we'll drop that down. Oops. Pink bucket, pink bucket, bucket, pink bucket, pink bucket. Ah, didn't close the line. Maybe not. I think it might be too much. I think it might be too much for this. No way. Where's it open? Oh, there. Hmm. Not sure now. I think it might be something you might do in coloring that part, maybe. But I'm gonna edit some of her fills and blacks here, and possibly add another tint on her shoulder. But quite like the way this is shaping up. Excuse me. Maybe just a little. I have an idea. And again, we're working digitally. We can experiment. We can play. So I'm going to turn it down so I can watch what I'm doing on this one layer. Excuse me. And to the new people who just joined there, I just want to say thank you again for picking up Godfell. Um, I'm absolutely thrilled with the response. It's sold out in a week over here. I know it's recently back in the Big Bang as of today, so please, if you haven't got a copy, you can go to the Big Bang and pick it up. I think I put a link in my Instagram, possibly on my Twitter as well recently. You'll find them all there. But thank you so much. It was my first book out, my international debut, I guess. And I really love working on that book. I love the characters. Um, I'd love to get a chance to revisit them someday. I feel like there's more of that story we could tell, especially if you've seen the ending. I think we really brought it. That ending was. I don't think you saw that one coming, and how could you not want to see what happens next? I know I do anyway, but then I would, wouldn't I? I want to draw more of that book. So yeah, next week I'll have Dave Hendrick, writer of Odds, on with me for a spell, and I will be working on a page of the odds. It'll be a little different. There'll be no characters. It'll be completely backgrounds. Um, I'll talk about how I write pages, why I choose to um use spot blacks, maybe to bring a reader's eye to a certain location. Um, and hopefully Dave can tell us a little bit about his technique as a writer. That'd be great. Um, and I'll talk a bit about how you make your backgrounds kind of feel the character in your stories. They should kind of really reinforce um your character personality, or tell us about the area they're in. Are they in danger? Are they in a very happy, comfortable situation somewhere? Um, they're a big part of the story too. And then I guess depending on the page I pick as well, we might cover a couple of different perspectives. And I haven't used the perspective tool on Sketchbook yet. I don't think. Maybe I've toyed around with it on an effect or something. Um, but you'll get to see it in full force next Wednesday, 9 o'clock. This will all make sense in a sec, and it'll all be worth it. Okay. So I think that's all stuff I want there. I think that would be a mistake. I might have to go and maybe some of you guys have figured out what I'm doing. Maybe you haven't. I don't know. Let me know if you have. I'm watching the comments. This is one reason why I like Sketchbook, actually, the rotate option on it. It's quite like using my animation disk, which if you were watching my Instagram lives when I was working on all the Godfell pieces, I use a lot. Um, it is the best thing to draw on traditionally. I love my animation disk. And this feels just like that. When I found the rotate tool on this thing, it was a game changer for me. Okay, turn that down and turn this up. And duplicate, hide that one. And I'm going to delete the rubber on that line there. Again, I hadn't thought that bit through. If I had spent more time on my pencils, that would have made maybe 3 or 4 minutes of work instead of this 10 or whatever. Where's my lasso? Yeah, that is better. I prefer that. It's funny 'cause I'll always do a big like tangent sweep at the end of these, and almost as soon as I turn off the stream, consider the drawing finished, I like immediately find 4 or 5 more tangents. Or I find a line weight that should be heavier or thinner all the time. So if you do see a little difference in the image that I post on my socials after this, it's because I don't know, I get stream blind or something, and I miss some things that I spot very quickly, very obviously afterwards. It could be the whole talking and drawing thing again. Um, it's not as easy as you think. It should be, but I'm obviously using the same brain muscles or whatever the hell to do both things, and I just can't, I guess. Typical man who can't multitask, right? Almost there now. That looks better. Okay. Get the paint bucket out though, because those fill lines are in there. And then I'm going to try a little something here. Does it work? Yeah, yes and no. Was it better without the blur? This is the best thing about working. You can just go back and forth, have a look, check something out, change your mind. Whereas if I was working traditionally, I'd have to take out my page, draw over the bit that I've done, cut it out, replace it with a new thing. God, I hated doing that. I always found that it was never quite the same. But this can just let you play a little bit. It's a lot of fun. But which one do I like the most? This one? That one? I think I like that one the most. Maybe I like that one just a little bit fainter. Maybe another 10 on our shoulder would be too much. We already have a bit on the head. Um, kind of like how it's going, how it's turning out. Some of these lines could be a bit smoother. That looks a bit wobbly, doesn't it? Again, you get marks for being brave with your line making, your mark making. If something's wrong, don't be afraid to go back in and just fix it. That's even looking a bit harsh. It should be rounder. I might have done that a few times. I like my designs to have a lot of straights and then curves. So sometimes where it should mostly be curved, have some straights in there. But kind of here, I don't think this part here is really working for me. I think that should end there. Let's have a quick look, see if I'm right. Could have been a contour line there that I was a fan of, but then when you see it in practice, it might not actually work. Um, Even that looked a bit. That looks a bit better already, doesn't it? Again, marks for being brave. Don't get points for sitting on the fence. Make a decision, have a go at it, and see what happens. And what I should really do is have some metal reference here, just to kind of get my mark making more correct. Like I did say at the very start, I made life quite difficult here because drawing metal stuff is something I don't enjoy. Um, I know it's something I'm probably lacking in ability because I prefer to avoid it and I draw other stuff instead. But you know, there's absolutely nothing to gain from staying in your wheelhouse all the time. You gotta go and try something. Um, so really gonna try and make this good, make the Silver Surfer feel shiny and metallic. And I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. So I'm just looking at an actual like shield and seeing how the light reflects and reacts with the shield. And I'm kind of just adding in a little bit that help to inform the material that it is and inform the volume of what it is, stuff like that. I don't want to like that one there. I might not need a whole lot more. It might actually be closer to finished than I gave it credit to be. Yeah, I think we might have it. I don't want to overdo it. You gotta know when to stop as well. Um, that's part of the trick. Knowing when to call it a day. Um, wasn't quite happy with that mark there. Do I like that? No, get rid of that. Um, and of course, there'd actually be some shadow here from her arm, wouldn't there? Missing an opportunity there. Don't don't want to let that get past me. And I'm just going to turn this down to see if I've missed. Yeah, see this line. Going to get rid of all that. Don't like those. Quick once over. Make sure everything's where I want it to be. Okay. And I have little details of eyebrows and things on in there because I'm really working on the likeness for Julia Garner. But in the Silver Surfer design, it's quite a heavy um, brow and eye set. His eyes are quite big, actually. I'm just looking there on that shoulder. Don't like the mark making here. That should be rounder, I think. I should go into describe the shoulder more. Get the bucket out and get rid of that line as well. It's an interesting one. It's not a character I would have drawn an awful lot of before. Um, there's a weird mix of organic and inorganic um, on them. Would you believe the Silver Surfer? I think both those kind of markings. Wow, crazy, mind blowing. Um, but it's a tricky one to go figure out. Um, you could really second guess yourself all day. might have gone a bit too heavy on the shadow here. A lot of this is me just figuring out. I've never, as I said, I've never drawn Silver Surfer before, so it's fill that in. It's much better, and I don't like how choppy that was. That's better. Should probably come out like that. That's better again. Maybe even like that. Yeah, that's the one. That's the ticket. There we go. So there we go. A Silver Surfer. Just want to make sure I have things where I want them to be. And one quick look at some more of those shields. Let's up some more. Again, get the right reference. What I should probably do actually with these things is if I'm looking up reference that informs the drawing, and I do it on another screen, I'll copy them and I'll post them onto the social so everyone kind of see how I'm using reference and how it's informing what I'm doing. That might be better because there's always so many people kind of tracing over things or copying things, and it's not good. The trick is to try and learn from it so you can kind of add these things to your mental reference library. And I'll do that. I'll add in some things now on what will I do it on? I'll do it on TikTok and I'll do it on Instagram tomorrow. But yeah, according to some of these things, I think I'm kind of in the right ballpark. Yeah. Again, want to be kind of brave with the mark making. You don't get points for being shy about stuff here. Yeah, I don't think that is needed. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we'll call it a day, folks. There we go. The Silver Surfer with a hint of Galactus. Let me get that closer up on screen there. Thanks for joining in again tonight. A lot more folks again. That's great. And I will tackle a page of maybe I'm not so happy with that. I might edit a little thing. I think I know what's wrong. I just figured it out. This line here is throwing me off. It's too tall. I can go back down there. Should be lower down. And it's throwing off the whole thing. And I was wrong about that. That should be coming in like that. And that line should just be going across. Yes. Here we go. No, it's not annoying me anymore. Way. There we go. Silver Surfer. In the Galactus, I'm back on screen again here now. And probably this time I won't spot anything else I want to change. But there we go. I'll have this and I'll post up some of the reference that I used for this as I was drawing it too. Galaxy, the metal textures. Yeah, that's it. So huge thanks for tuning in again. You can pick up the Godfell trade paperback in the Big Bang Comics at the moment. You don't have to be in Dublin. They do postal orders. And they're a great bunch of lads. Great bunch of lads. And, like they'll sort you out for postal deliveries, anything you need. They're really good. And anything else? Yeah, I'll this time next week I'll have the odds. We'll work on a page of the odds. Come to the end of that soon. We got some gorgeous pages in from Vittorio Stone recently. He's just fucking great. Delighted to be working with him again because we were both on Oddfell together. And yeah, I think that might be it. Check out the shop, Bennessy.com. We will have all of the Godfell drawings. We will have some Godfell trade paperbacks. And what I'll do with the trade paperbacks that I have here and some of the issues of Godfell that I have here, I'll draw some remarks on them and put them up in the shop as well. And I'm going to change around the prints that I do. So the prints I make for the Bennessy store every month are going to get rolled into this. So the drawing I do every month, and one of those drawings, or maybe all four of those drawings, depending on if there's a demand or a want for them, I'll make those a print. So yeah, huge thanks for joining in. Same time next week. Next week will be a bit more of a how-to. We'll go to perspective. We'll go to focal points in comic books, laying out the panels to help tell a story, and hopefully Dave Hendrick will join us and talk to us a bit about his technique. All right, so I'll leave you at that. Thanks a million, and I'll chat to you next week.